I don't think I can answer that question.
Well, I'm kind of disappointed, frankly, because you've had time to think about this, and you certainly have more thoughts than that.
So it's not your responsibility. The buck doesn't stop with you.
I certainly am not personally responsible for creating a list.
All right, well, lawmakers doing a lot of grilling today, grilling, I should say, but to little avail. My next guest doing the suing, filing the first lawsuits against the IRS, as we just got word, by the way, that Lois Lerner, she's the head of that exempt organization at the U.S. that includes bodies like these folks, is going to be pleading the fifth tomorrow. So that could complicate things, maybe not complicate things. First on Fox, Mary Meckler and Ginny Rapini. Mark is with Citizens for Self-Government Governance, and Ginny is president of the NorCal Tea Party group. So you guys are suing. Ginny, you first. Did anything you heard today or not here today convince you of the soundness of your suit?
Oh, absolutely. The harassment was so targeted. It was so specific. My second letter of request for information included 97 pieces of information, additional pieces of information that they wanted from me. In other words,
after you filled out the form and answered the questionnaire, they asked for 97 more pieces.
No, then they sent me another form that asked for 30-some questions. Then they sent the next one asking 97 questions that had nothing to do with the status that we were filing for.
They were just stringing you along.
Absolutely. They wanted to discourage me and have me not do it.
What did you do?
I got mad and did it.
Really?
I did. You know, they sent this letter to me, and my first reaction when I got it was, oh my gosh, I can't do this. But about 5 minutes later, I thought, they don't want me to do this. I'm going to do it. They gave me 2 weeks to get all that done.
Were you ultimately approved?
Ultimately, after I finally, it was well over 8 months after I sent that huge box of information in, that I still hadn't heard from them, and I contacted my Congressman, Tom McClintock, who wrote a scathing letter to the IRS and did a speech on the floor of the House of Representatives on our behalf, and 3 weeks later I got my letter.
So from start to finish, how long?
Almost 3 years.
Wow. The average wait time on something like this is supposed to be 6 months.
Yes.
Mark, your story.
Well, you know, I'm the president of Citizens for Self-Governance, and we're a group that supports people like Ginny, who are part of the self-governance movement. I was the co-founder of the Tea Party Patriots, former national coordinator. Sure. So I've been hearing these stories for years, and Ginny's actually the founder of my local Tea Party. So when I'm at home and I'm doing activist stuff at home, I'm hanging out at her Tea Party, and what I saw as I travel across the country is people like Ginny being abused all over the country. She's not alone. And she's tougher than a lot of them. Some of them did what I think the IRS wanted to do.
Stubborn.
Gave up. Yeah, exactly.
Now, in your case, so I mean, it's a big deal. So, like, you, in many respects, are the father of the Tea Party movement. I know you. It's cringe at that, but well, I'm the world's premier financial anchor. So, what I'm asking you now is what prompted this decision to sue on your part?
You know, the reason I got into the movement, Neil, was because I love the grassroots, because I think these are the people that built this country, just regular folks out there all across the country, and to see them abused, I just can't stand for it. I mean, I've fought in this movement for the grassroots from beginning till today, and when I saw that we had a chance to stand up for them and actually let them start to fight and really wage the David versus Goliath battle directly against the IRS, we had to step in front of them.
All right, now you want compensation, right?
Absolutely.
All right, now what kind?
Well, it cost hundreds of man-hours, but it also cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And since all this broke, I've had many emails and phone calls from our members who say, we're afraid to come to your meetings or your rallies anymore because we're under an audit, or I'm afraid I'm going to be audited, and it's going to be because of my membership with you. Now, Thomas Jefferson said, when the government fears the people, that's liberty, but when the people fear the government, that's tyranny. And when you're afraid of the IRS, which is a government agency, their heavy hand coming down on you, that's tyrannical.
So here you sue what you know is an agency against him. You have an uphill battle.
Right.
What will be your argument, not only for compensation, but for just winning, period, even if you don't win compensation?
Well, I think most importantly is the argument in the court of American public opinion, because what we have to do is push against the IRS and the federal government in general. I'm very excited that Congress has come to the party now, but the reality is the IRS was created by Congress, the IRS is funded by Congress, and oversight is provided by Congress, and they've brought us to where we are today.
But is it all the IRS? Do you expect someone was pulling the strings above the IRS?
Absolutely. I mean, it seems like people, at least we know, we've tracked it to the top lawyer at the Treasury Department now that knew this was going on.
So this guy who was being, hit like a piñata today, he's not the guy.
I don't know who the guy is. What I know is when people are taking the fifth, they usually do that because they're worried about criminal
Well, he
prosecution.
didn't, but Lois Lerner tomorrow, who headed this division that was in charge of approving folks like you, is. What do you make of that?
I think ultimately you're going to see a lot more people take the fifth because I think there was criminal behavior. I think it's clearly a violation of the Privacy Act. I think there were constitutional violations, First Amendment violations, due process violations, equal protection violations, and I think we're going to make sure that these people are called to task whether Congress does or not.
Are you, real quickly, guys, encouraged by at least the flip side of this, that the Tea Party now is getting a lot of empathy, sympathy, and actual support? Thanks or because of this?
Absolutely. And it's really, they're finally getting a better picture of who we are, that we aren't these radical activists out there trying to destroy our country. We're worried about our country.
And Neil, what we're doing is to help anybody who feels like they were discriminated against. They can go to suetheirs.com. They can participate in the lawsuit.
SueTheIRS.com. You've got something going already. All right.
SueTheIRS.com.
Guys, thank you very much. Reaction to all of this with Rand Paul, the senator from Kentucky, joins us right now. Senator, what do you think of the likelihood of these folks succeeding?
Well, I think that we need to get to the bottom of this. I'm not sure about how the lawsuits will proceed, but I think that in order for government to gain its trust back, someone needs to be fired, someone needs to be held responsible, and if it was criminal, someone needs to go to jail. But I think it may take an independent investigation. So much confidence has been lost in government now through this that I don't know how they get their confidence back, and I don't care if they're a Republican or a Democrat or an
Is an
independent.
independent investigation a special prosecutor? Now you got Lois Lerner, who is not going to be testifying, she's going to be pleading the fifth. So do you need a prosecutor now all the more, or what?
Well, if people are taking the fifth, how do you get the bottom? How do you get to the bottom of this unless there is some kind of special investigation? Also, someone needs to be fired. It seems to be impossible to fire a government employee. Still, no one has been fired over Benghazi. They were transferred. We called them up today. They still all have phone numbers and offices. That's the problem. People want government to be responsive, and if someone uses and abuses the power of government, they want that person kicked out of office.
Senator, right now, most people don't like this IRS thing the most of all the scandals that have been raised, but they have not attached much of it to the president as of yet. Do you think that will change?
I think it depends on whether the president responds. He says he's outraged, and that's fine, but we want to see him do something. He needs to say in a short period of time that someone's going to be leaving, that the people responsible. He sort of says he's outraged, but like with Benghazi, his response was to transfer people around in the State Department. Nobody lost their job. So really, someone has to be fired. Someone should be prosecuted if this is a criminal occurrence. But I don't think the president, he's been kind of passive in all of this. He seems to be detached, and he kind of wants to show outrage but say, hey, I had nothing to do with it. I'm just the president. I'm not sure that's going to fly with the public.
All right, Senator Rand Paul, thank you very much. It was his chief counsel of the president who did not go ahead and tell him about this IG report that linking the IRS to this focus on conservative groups, the fallout on that later on. In the meanwhile, did you